Yeah, baya bukiam, baya be vine egekai ikinu baya rigaji oga fuwabi. Ilya donozom. Um, yes, welcome everyone. According to your time, I hope every one of you are doing great, and hope you are enjoying today's Sunday. Uh, yes, there's a lot to talk about, but with limited time, you know. But let me just start with the politics of the Edo State governor and the insecurity and the suspension of some Enigies and others. Uh, I think there's a lot we need to talk about. You know, we need to talk about in the future. You know, the consequence of the suspension and the advantage and the disadvantage. You know, well, for me, nothing will really change. Likewise for you, it will not change, and it will not change anything as of now. But in the future, there's going to be some changes. You know, in the life of or the daily life of every one of us that is living in Edo State. First of all, let us talk about how we come to this situation where we are today. You know, in the second term of former governor of Edo State, Godin Norase Obaseki, there was a real conflict with the palace of the Oba of Benin. And as you all know, the palace of the Oba of Benin is being owned by the Edo people. The Oba of Benin has the privilege to represent the Edo people as the Omonoba Edo, the sun that shine for the Benin Empire or for the Benin Kingdom. You know, that name Oba has many different meanings, something that is very difficult. We say Oba, Obagbe, you know, and something that is really shiny, we will say Oba, Rukban Oba, you know. So, uh, and the name Eware, Nogidiga, you know, people should also understand Eware the first, you know, was a very, very difficult Oba. Very, very difficult Oba. And at the same time, the founder of our own village and the founder of our own chieftaincy title. And, you know, in during his reign, the Oba Eware the first, a lot of people migrated from Benin to other places because of the hardship and because of how he was dealing with people, you know, because of what he went through also, you know, because he didn't really grow up in Benin, although he was always in Benin to visit and sometimes stays in the palace, but he was on exile in, uh, I would say, when you are going to the east, you know, because I don't want to mention that name because people are always saying this and that when it comes to the Benin history, you know. But on his way to Benin, this is where our village was found. And from there, he proceeds to Benin, where he met the person or the chief, which the person named Edo was a servant to. Please don't misuse that word, servant and slave. These are very different things. Servant is somebody that serves you and then later be free. A slave remain sometimes a slave forever, you know. But the Beninese actually were not having slaves, they were having servants. Servants that serve them, that give them something they need, and they also assist that servant to become somebody in the future. That was the nature of the Benin tradition. When Prince Ogun came to Benin, he was helped by the person or the servant called Edo before he ascended the throne of his forefather. When he was there, a lot of things transpired. There were also so many attempts on his life and other things that really happened. And the loss of his two sons, and that made him to be very, very harsh. He was a very harsh king. And those who knows him will say what I'm saying now. And to come to the present, our present Omonoba Nedu, Kuapolopolo Oba Eware the second. Actually, he's not a harsh king, but he's somebody who always stands for the truth, who stand for the truth, and at the same time, people might be thinking that he is a politician or is siding one political party. But from my own view, I will say no, because a lot of things transpired before the event that took place during the election and after the election. You see, before the election, the second term of Governor Obaseki, when the issue of the artifact and the Royal Museum happened, being as somebody who is empowered with the constitution of Edo State and the constitution of Nigeria, he was trying to suppress our traditional monarch. When you know that our traditional monarch is part of us, many of us were feeling in that period that part of us is being taken away. Part of us are being respected, and there's so many other things that have transpired. Where we are trying to make sure we advise and at the same time talk senses into these people's head, but it's like they were not interested. They were not interested because of the money they were receiving and so many other things that followed. And when the election time was approaching, because we were always coming out live to talk in the issue, how we could proceed, what we could do to ease the tension between the palace and the government of Edo State. But it's like the governor was doing some foul play against the palace. He was collecting some Enigies and some even the palace chiefs against the palace, by trying to form another Benin traditional council out of what has been existing, And for us who are real Benin, who are real Edo people, this is a treasonable act. This is treason. It's treason in the sense that you don't overthrow an existing government. When you do that, it's treason. Those who are in military, they will tell you what would have happened that period. Or in the olden days, what should have happened to all these Enoges that were following the government. There was a lot that could have happened that period because in Benin, we are very, very lenient. And at the same time, we are very, very serious when it comes to challenges of that nature. When it comes to the challenge of that nature, we will not keep quiet and we will not listen to anybody before we start defending what we love and then the people we love. Excuse me for just a moment. So, we were trying to make sure there was peace, and there's peace in Edo State. We were talking to different people, trying to talk to people. What they were doing was wrong, but none of them wanted to listen because everyone that grew up in Benin, that know the Benin tradition, knows this consequence of what they were doing. Because normally the Beninese or the Edo people, we doesn't tolerate such nonsense. You see, the issue is when they were doing this, they were called to order to make sure they depart from Godwin Obaseki, the former governor of Edo State. But so many of them stepped back and came back to the palace. They were also pretending they came back to the palace, but many of them were still with the government, collecting information from the palace and be giving it to the governor's office. We can still see today when you go to the social media how some of them which are hiding under another name are insulting the palace, insulting our Monoba and all that. We know many of you, and we understand, but everybody has a price to pay. Everybody has a price to pay for what he's doing. When you are doing good, you will have a price to pay. When you are doing bad, you will have a price to pay. So, and during that period, when the issue of the museum came, it was like for us, it was like, oh, what is going on here? Although the government of Edo State that period was saying no, they don't have issue with the palace. But we all knew and we know that there is a big issue about the Royal Museum and about the return of the artifact. Who is the custodian? What is going to happen? How are we going to build the museum? Who is going to be responsible? As the custodian of the Benin Empire, the Omonoba of Benin has the responsibility, also to make peace, in the empire. And that is why he was stepping back, stepping back. He doesn't want the Benin Empire to or to create havoc, I would say, or to allow the ancient city and the ancient kingdom to go into chaos. Many people didn't understand that. They were thinking that they were taking that as weakness. That wasn't a weakness. This is wisdom. If you have wisdom, you know how to manage everything. That is why we always say the Oba of Benin is not a made king. They are born kings. They are born as king. Even in the early stage of their life, they go through so many educations. Many of you will never think about because many people think the palace is just there for nothing. Receiving visitors and all that. They don't know what is going on there. Palace is a higher institution, one of the highest in Nigeria. If there's university degrees, we will have been having professors, doctors, and even more than those ones, But many people doesn't understand. They just think, oh, we receive visitors, distracting here and there. Those who understand what is going on in the palace, understand the nature of the job that is in the palace there, and the different sections and different department that is in the palace there. See, and some of these Enigies, I would say they were being employed by the palace. They are being employed by the palace because their appointment is from the palace, it's not from the government. Although they receive some chicken change from the government, but that change is not also enough compared to what some of them were doing in their communities. And some of them were also receiving that money for nothing. They were not in their community too. So when this when you go against somebody who give you job, you know, what do you expect? Because some of you that is chatting here and there, if I give you a job and you are not doing that job very well, and you are now coming against me, I will have no other choice rather than terminate your appointment. If I go against anybody that gave me a job, he's going to terminate my appointment. Because even terminating is a low punishment. I would say it's a very, very low punishment. You know, they should have been expecting harsh punishment. You see, when during the election, you know, when the election was approaching, people were saying Oba of Benin was Pacha and it's a political Oba, this and that, you know. And I want to allow people to understand there's nowhere in the world and there's no human being in the world. Even God is a politician. Even God is a politician, you know. And there's no human being in the world who will say, I'm not a politician. Unless you are not interested in politics, but that doesn't make you not to be a politician or not to be sympathetic to any political party. When this issue was going on during the election, when the election campaign was going on, or this or that, people were making all sorts of allegations against the palace, you know, especially from the party of the former governor. Things were going on, insults were being thrown, and every other thing that transpired, you know. And when there was time for all the candidates to be visiting the palace, you know, there was also some complaint that the palace gave them the same day appointment as the other party, and that they are not coming, and that the Oba is choosing Peholo as his choice. Yes, he has the right to do that. You know, even though you are a father of a whole house, you have a son or a daughter that you love most, or you have a daughter that is more sympathetic to you, or that has more sympathy for you, of which you will approach also in a sympathetic manner. During that period, I was always advising, if Aswe wants to be a governor, he must separate himself from former governor Obaseki. And he must come out clearly to distance himself from all the activities that was going on. You know, but he made that mistake. He was so sure that he is going to win the election. Made that mistake, and that was a grave mistake, because you don't bite the hand that feeds you. It is us, the Edo, that will vote you. It is us, the Eastern, that will vote you. It is us from every angle of the state that is going to give you the vote to be there. But when you bite those hands, when you insult their father, they are not going to give you the mandate. And that is what happened. Although many people are crying that stolen mandate, I don't see it that way, because there's no evidence that the mandate was stolen. Provide the evidence and we will see. All what we have been seeing in the social media is maybe somebody just published this and this and that. This is what was thinking, and this is what the other one is thinking. No. And when or during that election, also so many things happened. There was people were threatening the monarch, people were threatening the palace, you know, people were threatening to remove our own monarch, to make him to nobody in his own empire, and that cannot happen. That cannot happen. That was a grave mistake. And we are using some element called the Enigies to be going against the palace, and that was also a grave mistake. You don't use people that are being employed by a person or by a director to go against that director. the director is going to fire all of them. He's going to replace all of them. If he cannot do that, then he's a weak leader. So now we can see the result of what is going on. Some of these Enigies have been suspended, or Enigies have been suspended. There are still more of them that's still hiding under the carpet. We need to flush them out. We need to flush them out from where they're hiding. Because when you go to all these communities where all these Enigies are coming, there's no peace in that community because of land sales and so many other things. At the first point, as a Enogie of any community, it doesn't have to depend on the salary from the government. Most of this community have a large land where you can farm, where you can do all sorts of things in your own domain. But many of you are so lazy, waiting for what the government is going to pay you. How much are they going to pay you? They're going to pay you minimum wage, which is about, I would say, 100,000 naira, not even. And most of you have 2 wives, 3 wives, and have over 20 children. Is that enough? Why can't you go farming? Why can't you do other business to survive? Why did you push yourself into this angle where you are now? The worst of all, this is not a suspension, as people are trying to put it. That suspension is forever. The appointment are being terminated. That means your son cannot be a Enogie again. That is, if that chieftaincy title has been existing for more than 300 years now that chieftaincy is lost in your hand. Your first child or your first son can no longer be a Enogie. That is according to the traditional law. If your father is not a Enogie, you can also be a Enogie in that community. Now, because of your uselessness or what you did, now you are punishing an entire generation and generation to come. This you have to blame on yourself, because that's just it. You made that mistake. And there was still plenty of time for you people to go to the palace, to go and plead for mercy, to say, our father, what we did was wrong, was very wrong. Please forgive us. There would have been some sanction rather than suspension. And now, this is how we arrive at what we are today. And so many of these chiefs, they were blocking the road, shooting and doing all sorts of things to prevent the emissaries from the palace to get to their community. It doesn't really matter whether you lock yourself from now to 200 years. The suspension has been spoken, whether you receive the letter or not. It is a termination, whether you receive it or not, whether you sign or you doesn't sign. It is taking place already with immediate effect. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. You cannot come to the palace again. And now the new government that is here is taking another step. So I would advise to desist from any insecurity you people are planning, because we already got information that you people are trying to cause havoc in the community you people are living in. And that will lead to the extent that some of you will go to jail. And if it's going to happen, it's not just going to happen in Edo State. Most of you will be brought to Abuja to serve, to understand the consequence of what you people have been doing. So, for my own, I will advise every Beni chief, whether he have a Norowa, he have a Noroi, anyone in Nogis or John Were or Okagele, don't be greedy too much. Too much of greediness all you have is severe repercussion, which is disrespectful, disgrace, and so many other things that follow. And this is where we are today now. This is where we are. And how do we go forward from here? Is the Oba of Benin going to nominate other Enigies? I will support that idea because we need some Enigies and Enigies to go back to this community with another mandate, another way, another system of governance in those domains where they are going to be sent to. They are going to be having a list of things to do and a list of not to do. They should be there. And once they go against those things, the first one, the second one, the third one should be determination. And when some of you are on social media talking, we doesn't need a political traditional ruler, we doesn't need that, we doesn't need... You people make it to be a political leader. At the first, he gave everyone support. But when the palace saw what was going on, when we saw what was going on, we couldn't step back. We have to air our voice. We have to give our sympathy to some parties. And understand that all we want is peace in that kingdom, in that empire. Without peace, we are not going to develop. Without security, we are not going to develop. And this is a heavy task for the new government. Because what we experienced immediately after the election was a total chaos in some part of Edo State, of the court killing, robbery, and fightings in communities, And this needs to stop. We need to stop it, and we need to stop how we use our land. What is most causing all this is sales of land, indiscriminate sales of land, without proper planning, without doing any other thing. And all this needs to stop. The palace needs to work on this so that there will be peace in each and every community. That is my own take. And I want to thank everyone who is going to watch this video. And I'm going to thank you for sharing this video. I want it to get to everyone in Edo State or beyond, so that everyone will understand what our people are going through and how the future is going to look like. Because if you want to have a brighter future, you have to concentrate on the economy, infrastructure, security, peace, education. The others follows. So thank you very much, and God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.